So hello and welcome today into another video. Today we are looking at 3080 Ti Asus stuff. In some of the games I decided to check for you. The rest of the computer you will see on the OSD. I hope I won't be too boring with my talking. So anyways, let's enjoy the show. Chronos first. So yeah, a very quick look at one of my favorites. It's 2025 game Chronos: The New Dawn, released by Polish studio. And we are by the end of the game, so I will not spoil the ending or one of the final boss fights, which is very close by. So we'll just walk around the place so you can see how it performs. The game runs on Unreal Engine 5, which then contributes to some really nice graphics, but also to, well, a not perfect performance and FPS drops and stutters here and there. The game has some really nice RT implementation in the shadows department, but right now we are running at native 1440p and high settings without super sampling. We could use like DLSS quality to improve the performance to about 80 FPS, which contributes to more responsiveness. It is a very gloomy game. I mean, it's so dark and traumatic. That's the word I was looking for. But it's one of those games that you can actually really enjoy on an older hardware, because the engine somehow scales really nicely across different setups. The sound design, much like in Dead Space, it's crucial in this game, so you have to have like a very good sound setup or very good speakers. But as you can see, the game very infrequently drops a few frames on DLSS. Once we enable RT, things will become a bit more traumatic. (56), so about 30% of drop. But then if we just go into performance, as we should, this game, it just keeps on delivering without bigger problems. These catacombs here are really gloomy, but they, oh, there was a small drop in FPS. But they basically represent what the game stands for, so dark and really traumatic atmosphere. But definitely 3080 Ti with 3900X just can deliver, especially if you pair it with smaller size resolution screen. So here is a quick look at Dying Light the Beast, another one of those games that came in 2025. We are some 2 hours into the game, running 1440p resolution, and just to show you the settings, DLSS, that's quality without frame gen, and for settings we are basically running a high without RT. And we're in the hideout. So lots of geometry here and some baked in shadows and lights, but the game stays quite consistently above 60 FPS target, with the GPU being utilized fully. Let's do some quick roaming. It's in the middle of the night. Okay, I need to remind myself how to move about in this game. Yeah, pretty much rock solid performance. The GPU sits around 64 degrees, 280 watts, and CPU is also moderately utilized here, but in general it's a strong performer. So probably you could squeeze out more if you did more settings, well, optimization with the settings. But if just strike high settings in basic 1440p, it should be fine. No issues. Yeah. So Dead Space Remake, a bit of an older title, not from 2025 or 6. It's the game that actually came out in 2023, but one of my favorites. I love revisiting this place. It's basically it's a perfect remake except for, well, the quality of the performance, because the graphics look just amazing, but performance-wise it was a nightmare in the beginning, especially with heavy FPS drops and stuttering all around. And it's still not completely fixed, because once you notice the CPU usage and its temperature, as you can probably see that it's actually being quite drained with 110 watts and 300 watts on the GPU. So, and it's a closed space. The Ishimura is basically finite space where You could just optimize it perfectly, but here it's not. Anyways, we are looking at max settings, DLSS quality, everything set to ultra, and resolution wise it's still 1440p, and as you can see we are sitting at around 120 FPS. This is like 40% of the game, I guess. We're not that far ahead. It's just my 4th or 5th revisit of the title. So as you could now notice, when entering a new area or the area we have previously visited, but the game hasn't loaded yet, there is a small hiccup. Not so visible here on 3900X. The game likes having many threads, and you can see that here. But overall, it is a very solid performer in terms of FPS, but it can drive you insane when stutter kicks in and the game just keeps losing frames when moving through different areas. So this big area here holds a puzzle, but it also has some combat. Here you can small FPS drop. That one is done. Okay, where are they? So one thing that this game does just perfect is the sound. It's muted a bit now because of me recording, but the thing is that sound here, sound design is just, I'm playing right now on my headphones, Creative H6, so not top-notch quality, but it helps a lot when moving about. Goodbye. Not yet? Yeah. So this is Dead Space. I think a game worth revisiting anytime, but in some setups it can just work really bad. But it looks the part. So coming back to Ghost of Tsushima, the previous video we tested 2060 Super and it ran around 60 to 70 FPS here with lower settings. Now we are running very high 1440p and DLSS quality, and the game consistently sits around 80 plus frames. Let's do some horse riding very quickly. The thing about Ghost of Tsushima is that it once it just goes above 60 FPS, it feels really smoothly, with very few hiccups and problems, whereas in the case it doesn't stay above 60, especially frame times, they can give you a hard time. But as you can see, the GPU usage here as it is with most of the games that come from PlayStation, is not hitting the top. It sits around 80–90% mostly. Okay, so we are in the Mongol territory. I would like to avoid heavy combat for now. So just there are some guys up there, so let's have a small talk with them.
Jeśli radzisz sobie w wojaczce, podejdź.
Yeah, so basically that's what you get with 3080 Ti. Rock solid performance, hitting 100 FPS and above. Just keep in mind that recording the video also takes up some resources, so it should be even faster than it is. So here is a quick look at one of the newer games released just a couple of days ago. Legacy of the Dark Knight, Lego series on 3080 Ti. And we are just about 2 hours into the game. So the Gotham City is now open for free roaming, so we can do just that. And the settings here are with DLSS set to performance, without frame gen, and epic settings all around. So basically everything put up. And as you can see, just running around and swinging gives you around 50 to 60 FPS, which is fine, I guess. You can't really feel the drops. The card sits around 160 watts, 62 degrees Celsius. It's vertically mounted in the computer here, so I guess the temperatures could be a bit lower. So let's do some driving. In the old Arkham Knight series, driving around was the most demanding part, so it seems it is here the same. But it's not bad. Still around 50–60 FPS.
Pozostawienie tego pojazdu to zły pomysł.
It is fine, I guess. And you could probably lower the settings and see if things turn out for the better. Probably they would. I can't tell the difference between very high and high anyway. Okay.
Nadchodzą.
Detektywie Gordonie, tu funkcjonariuszka René Montoya.
Ja.
Mam informację o tym fioletowym aucie, którego szukasz. Jestem na budowie. Odbiór.
Przyjąłem. Już do ciebie
Let's see if you can fly. Not really. Yeah, so like I said, it's maybe not perfect 60 FPS here in this resolution, but it is still perfectly playable, and without recording there would be few FPS more, I suppose. but Unreal Engine 5 is notorious for having bad performance when data streaming, so in this aspect I'm not surprised. So another new title released this year is RE Requiem. So as you will see, the settings are pretty high for 3080 Ti, so the resolution is natively set for RT set to normal, has trends available, and here everything pretty much maxed out except for shadows, and DLSS set to quality without frame gen, and without path tracing, shadows set to high, yeah, and everything else maxed out. And we are about 3 hours into the game. In the hospital. So it has more or less demanding places, this part. But the thing is that usually the game sits around 80 to 100 FPS with some drops here and there. So RE Engine is really well optimized. But it also drains the cards. As you can see, it basically sits around 300 something watts, and the VRAM is already maxed out. But the FPS is quite solid for now. And this game also utilizes the CPU a bit more, with 34% and 82 to 90 watts usage in general. And here is the more demanding area with some of the zombies still there. But as you can see, the game runs really fine. There are no issues with performance. The temperatures are still in check, so 64 degrees Celsius for both the CPU and the GPU. The only concern is power draw, but 3080 Ti is notorious for taking up to 350-60 watts, so that's to be expected. And let's see if I can load some other places maybe. Nope, it's just the same all around. I don't have any other saves, so that will have to do. So with lower resolutions the game will run above 100 FPS, and I could probably go for RT high and still keep above 60 FPS, but the difference is marginally seen, so path tracing does introduce better quality, but it also kills the GPU and kills the VRAM. So that's that. So now we are in the game that when it came out was considered to be one of the weaker optimized titles. It was, I think, the beginning of 2025 or 2024. 2025, I think it was. So Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And the problem with this game has always been, and still is, basically swinging around the city, the New York, because once the data starts streaming, the FPS drops like nightmare. So here we are sitting at around 100 FPS with basically maxed out settings except for RT, which I decided not to turn on in this game because well, it does look tremendous, but it also kills performance like by 30-40%. And the thing is that we are utilizing FSR frame gen to achieve those FPS. So without frame gen, the game runs around 50 to 60 FPS, which is not ideal, especially when roaming. Obviously I could lower some settings, but instead of just choosing ray tracing, well, I could probably use some just reflections maybe and see if that kills the performance. I suppose it wouldn't that much, because the biggest problem comes from the occlusion and the shadows, and the reflections themselves are not that demanding, but they do allow for let's wait for the data to stream in. Okay, yeah, but the performance drops significantly, so yeah, 3080 Ti is not perfect for RT in this game. So let's just go off. Okay, that's off. Let's swing around. In combat it stays around 90 to 80 FPS. Here, especially with those Sandman wannabes, when there are many particles and shadows, it does kill the performance a bit. It's not terrible though. Finish this up pretty quick.
No dobra, Marko. Co ci tam siedzi w głowie?
Kazałem im nas zostawić, ale nie słuchali. Wystrzelili w moim kierunku sieć. Chcieli mnie powstrzymać. Instynktownie zmieniłem się w piasek. Zakopałem. Tak się wstydzę. Lecz nie miałem wyboru.
Performance-wise, as you can see, the game sits heavily on the CPU. 60 and above percent of CPU util is just a normal thing for this game. And 3090 100X is well, not the best CPU out there. It's basically the same age as GPU, I guess, or even a bit older, but the 12 core and 24 thread CPU is well, the game likes it. And my main rig with 7800X3D and 5070 Ti can actually run very similarly to this PC. The difference being the fact that I can run on that PC the game with RT high and without frame gen and achieve similar FPS, so X3D CPUs are definitely something that the game likes. But the thing is that the CPU util just stays the same no matter what kind of CPU you use, and here at least the GPU is utilized properly, around 90+%, but in some scenarios, if you just don't use maximum settings, the GPU is utilized at around 60-70%, which is a bummer, I suppose. So the engine could have been updated, patched, so that it would use more of the horsepower that it actually can. You can see that also through the wattage. 200 plus watts is basically 2/3 of the GPU's true power, so it probably could squeeze out some FPS still. So the last game we checked today is Pragmata, but in this case the settings have been upped quite a bit. We are running at 1440p DLSS quality and ray tracing. So let's just jump into the area I have previously been to. So like I said, in the part regarding the RE engine, the games running on this engine are really well optimized, having very few performance issues. Well, there are some, like sometimes there could be some not very big ones, not very big problems with VRAM loss or drainage, and sometimes the shadows look a bit odd in those games, but mostly they look really nice. So here, as you can see, ray tracing is a bit blocky, and there is some shimmering going on also. But when we look at combat, some other reflections, they tend to look okay. Just finish the guy real quick. Performance wise, as you can see, it's far better than 2060 Super, so the game must really prefer the faster architecture of the Ampere rather than the Turing.
Look out for its targeting sensor. Yay! Get ready.
Oh, damn. Haven't played much of this game, so
Something's aiming at us.
oh man.
Sensors are down.
Right. That's done. So I think it's good time to sum it up for 3080 Ti. On modern CPUs, faster than the 3900X I have here, the card can still shine even more than it does, but in case you have like a 1080p or 1440p screen, I guess that's no matter if you have like Zen 3 processor or Zen 2, will still be fine. Just need to keep in mind that the card is really power hungry and it produces lots of heat. The card I have here, the top version, has like a very beefy cooling solution, but it's still, like as you can see, runs rather hot, 67 degrees Celsius. It's quite a lot, and 280 to even more sometimes watts. That's a lot of power, especially today with energy being so costly. So you have to keep that in mind, and if you have like 4070 Ti or 4070 Super, then basically you have the same performance or similar performance for 100 watts less. But in any case, this is a GPU that will still let you play modern games without any problems. You just need to lower some of the settings and be modest about the performance you are just targeting at. So I think that's it from me for this card. If you can get one for like 300 euros, or that would be $250 or something respectively, then I think it still is a good pick. You just need to check the vendor and if possible check the history of the card, because some of them were quite the proficient miners, so I wouldn't want to have a card like that. But other than that, it's still a solid pick, and if you own one, definitely going for Gen 4 or Gen 5 RTX is not a must, especially if you're running a 1080p screen. So again, that's it for today. If you like the video, subscribe, leave the comment, and I will see you in another video next time. Thanks.